Well, how's it going, Kingsman? Welcome back to another NTW3 replay. Today we have a 4v4 on the map of Dresden with the Peninsular Corps. So today we have a lot of Spanish and there's some British here. And there's some artillery from France already firing. France having a strong defensive position. Now I do not know the points for the French, but we have an 11-point Wellington here on the left flank. They have a 7-point Spain, 2 more of the center, and then a 5-point UK, and then a 10-point Blake on the far flank. All descending on this nice, open, beautiful-looking, cinematic, beautiful field. You know, trying to throw as many adjectives as I can, I guess. It's the thing today. But yeah, no, you can see the Spanish have 2 lines formed up, a lot of infantry. Wellington, being that 11-pointer, just quite the force to fight against. We'll see how well he's used. Not a ton of cav on the field, at least for the British. Has some C7s up close
this
scouting.
Has fallen to the enemy.
Like some Portuguese cavalry, and then of course some C5s, but also Portuguese cav. Now there's a French force you can see up here on the right. Obviously, we also have another French force forming up in this town hall, with a lot of reabouts, like a lot of earthworks around, so they're going to be very defensive. Blake obviously pushing across, maybe going to start. I think it looks like flanking forces are being formed up here, so it looks like a very hard flank here and a very hard flank here. I'm not sure if they're planning on holding the center, being stagnant, and then pushing on the flanks with the 10-pointer and 11-pointer, their highest points on the field. Obviously, like I said, you have the French formed up, quite a lot of infantry. Looks like some light infantry, I'm assuming. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is light infantry. Supported by some chasseurs cheval. And of course, a nice reserve line for the French. They're also holding that river crossing as they see Wellington pushing forward. Oh, is there cavalry already running? Yeah, it looks like some artillery. So France looks like they have a nice artillery center. They're just forming up here, and they're gonna maybe use their flanks to be aggressive as well, and also having just that massive gun battery in the center to kind of control that. Looks like Graham is pushing forward. Ooh, some Coldstream Guard here. So epic. Gotta appreciate the detail they put into this mod over the years. It's so cinematic looking. But he is gonna be pushing up, maybe just a little bit in the center. The artillery is gonna be quite painful. Ooh, do we have a cavalry? Looks like some counter battery, maybe, or not counter battery, but some artillery from the coalition firing. They do have a nice position up here. Like you can see, it slopes very gently down towards the French, so that's actually an advantage to the coalition's artillery batteries, if they have any. There it is. I was wondering where it was. So they have it set up here. Yeah, they're firing down on that cavalry and infantry. Our first contact, though, is definitely going to be over here, where Spain has some skirmishers already firing, has infantry potentially about to make contact with the French army. Just love how the wheat fields look in NTW, or NTW3 for that matter. Just so beautiful. It just looks so nice. Never gets old, guys. Obviously, there's more French artillery set up over here, so yet another painful advance to be made by the coalition. Now, it does look like we have a pincer movement maybe going on. The 5-pointer and the 10-pointer pushing from 2 directions on this French army, who's obviously, they're set up here. They're set up for a defense, and doesn't like they're planning on leaving. And that's going to be basically an aggressive attack and defense fight going on here. And obviously there's choke points, which makes France have a little bit easier of a job. Now, it does look like artillery has found some of this French infantry, or Spanish infantry. So he's not going to try to push that, at least on this side. Now, he can push up by the LOC. That's going to provide a little bit of shelter in place. Wellington obviously needs to... ooh, actually, I'm missing this. Got some infantry here defending the LOC. They do garrison this as well, as now they're going to get a field of view of the French reinforcing army that's just pushing down the road to reinforce the center. They can push through Dresden and then reinforce wherever needed. And obviously we've seen some French advancing. Alright, so we're seeing a little bit more of a line fight going on here between the two sides. And this is the only place of contact where things seem to be actually starting off. We do take the LOC way up in the top. Alright, the French are about to start pouring some fire on the Spanish as well. Nice.
Sir, our general is under attack.
But France has a very nice angle of defense here so far. I think the Spanish are trying to get maximum firepower on each of these points of attack. Obviously, a lot of French infantry in the center as well. Some skirmishers holding this LOC in the small little grove of trees. Pulling back a little bit, don't want to take too much of a line fight with some skirms. Wellington is still starting to press the attack forward. There's a bridge that France probably is going to try to control to a certain degree. Now they've taken this LOC, they can start pushing more on the flank. That French army may appear just in time to reinforce the right side. Now, this actually could be a very good point of attack for the British and the Spanish. This one French army, I think, is holding this whole side. So they maybe could push on 2 points at once, really put a lot of pressure on them. Of course, though, France could easily have more reserves just waiting or shifting to the right side, which you can see they do have troops shifting in that direction. They do have some cavalry in reserve. This fight's still going. Artillery, though, really starting to even those odds as Spain's pushing forward.
Our men are running, sir.
Who be running? Oh, the artillery got sniped. That is unfortunate. I'm curious how the coalition are going to do with the lack of cav, because they definitely have a distinct lack of cav. I'm not sure. I don't know these corps well enough to know if they have a choice in that matter, or if they chose to go more infantry heavy. But you can see they're still pushing along this whole right flank. Over here, the British have made a foothold. They have the 24th, 38th, and 83rd that have pushed across the river. Cavalry as well. Maybe they're going to go for some skirmishers here with those Portuguese cavalry. The poor Swiss skirm getting run down potentially. And they save them. Ooh, this artillery is danger close for the coalition. And the cavalry went in for those skirmishers. I think the skirms will still manage to get themselves away. Over here, man, the Spanish are going right into the guns. They are very danger close. Spain has pushed up even more aggressively than before. France being kind of forced into pretty desperate defense. I think they still have a lot more firepower than the Spanish do, at least in some of these angles. It's like a 3v2. So I guess it depends on the quality of the Spanish. France actually is pushing forward here, interestingly enough. They've gotten quite the push over here, but the artillery... Oh, hold that thought. Hold that thought, because we do have cavalry charging across as Wellington starts pressing the attack here with infantry, having the cavalry basically force this French infantry to pull back, as then he starts pushing across his Coldstream Guards and his other infantry. He does have a bit of infantry kind of defending that beachhead, as it were, so that his lines can actually push all the way across, because obviously France has been trying to impede that advance as best they can.
Our men are running, sir.
Oh my goodness, I missed a melee. Spain going full attack, full sending it. This melee, though, isn't looking super decisive at the moment for the Spanish, but obviously he's pushing up more and more reserves. His guard is in this fight.
Our men are running, sir.
So we had some units break. Wow, Blake is full on attacking here, and he's getting nice flanking charges here. But France is countercharging quite viciously. And obviously he has won a section of this fight, but obviously there's more reserves they can push forward. The UK, though, are starting to press that attack quite viciously as their ally has gone in for melee. Over here, the French are in full retreat with the UK, the British pushing quite aggressively, trying to maybe be decisively attacking that flank. France obviously is starting to fall back. Canister almost, starting to actually break those skirmishers. Yeah, the center for France falling back, obviously, with this melee. France is not giving up on this fight yet. And it does look like Spain is starting to win. Still, this right flank is not looking too good. Coldstream Guards taking a bayonet charge from the Polish line. As this fight's becoming more and more vicious.
The men are fatigued, sir. Must rest them.
But France is breaking here, unfortunately, even though he's throwing more and more troops. Oh, a lot more cavalry even pushing in. Let's check out over here where Wellington looks like he's actually pressing forward quite aggressive. Ooh. It looks like it was saved. I thought maybe there was some fibbing happening, but it looks like it was just, you know, nothing to fear.
The men are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
We have cavalry pressing forward as well, going to go for those skirmishers. I'm assuming Blake is also pressing forward. He has a nice center line. Of course, artillery is still facing him, so that's going to be a rather painful advance. The British seem to be making a little bit of headway. Over here, it does look like France is not giving up still. They have cavalry and infantry, and maybe he's going to start falling back. I'm not sure if this line is meaning to stay here or if they just don't want to get too close to the guns. Guns can't break troops very quickly. He may just be keeping his reserve line there on the right. Still some infantry in melee. Not sure if that's like a Vistula Legion. That is really holding the line, holding back several Spanish lines at once. Ooh, a nice volley here. Maybe they're just form a flank or form a square. And over here you can see the British have pushed quite aggressively. A lot of cavalry, though, to help defend that line. And France is still... They still have their line attack. They are limbering up some artillery. probably to move them into a better defensive position. They do hold this town, so they can potentially still have a nice flank on whenever the coalition push. They'll be able to push out of the town at any point and really harass that coalition. Blake is pushing forward constantly, it looks like. Just constant forward pressure. The French have reinforced this side, so they are not giving up. They have pulled back from this initial first wave. They've inflicted some heavy losses on the Spanish and British. So obviously the coalition's going to have to kind of give a little pause, regain momentum again. They have to take this LOC before they advance, which is going to be quite a painful attack, to be honest. I mean, it's really rough to take an LOC, especially with enemy sitting all around it. It's just, those guys will be shooting every which way into your flank. France get the charge off on some skirmishers. I do like the center push though. It's quite beautiful. Look at that. Look at that.
Our men are running, sir.
Wheat fields make everything look better. You can quote me on that. You should make that into a t-shirt. Wheat fields make battles better. You would be like, what the heck kind of comment is that? So that artillery is getting themselves into a new position. France may be actually totally willing to hold this. These guns are going to probably get some nice canister off. Oh, the cavalry is charging in. Blake does not have a lot of squares at that point. They just have a decent amount of squares, I'd say. Still, he can form some squares here. You may have to. And he does, as that Hussar unit smacks into that square. Maybe this French army should be pushing very aggressively on the flank. Or not French, sorry, I keep getting my factions mixed up, man. The Spanish army maybe should push this flank around. He does have some squares to set him up, but of course his artillery is also going to impede any progress that he wants to make. I don't know, the French are using their canister. Man, the canister is just absolutely shredding. Holy cow, that broke him that fast. And now he's going to pull back, obviously, away from those guns. Oh, wow. The British going in for another cav infantry attack. 94th foot. Not even going to shoot here, just going straight for the melee. Cavalry cycling in and out. We have a melee still. Ooh. Really pressing. Wellington really getting aggressive here on this flank. Yeah, I can hear the canister firing. They're probably getting out of range here. France actually looks to be making a counterattack against cavalry and infantry. Starting to see Spanish shift reinforcements over towards this flank. Graham forming up in a line fight against this one section. We have some French troops that may have pushed out against Blake. Blake having to fall back, just the artillery piece being too brutal for them. France is having some breaking. As the British continually are pressing, they are starting to take a couple losses. Nothing decisive, guys, though. Nothing truly decisive. Both sides seem to just, you know, break one, then another one breaks, and that's about it. Here we go. So they're swinging around that flank. France having to pull back, probably just they'll get flanked. We'll see if Spain can get a nice side volley. Looks like this French unit shifted targets away from this Spanish unit to the other one. Another square gets formed. Unfortunately, the counterattack by France is forcing this flanking force to fall back, or at least it will break, unfortunately.
Our men are running.
Oh, the canister still. Man. It's just causing morale issues. Now we got cavalry probably about to try to take it out, because they have to at this point. Because obviously this is an attack and defense map. Obviously the coalition are the ones who have to make the attack. Which is very rough for them, because France has some nice positions of defense. You see France is actually going for Blake's flank. Man, that is like a painting. You see random horse running past, some infantry in the field shooting. This fight's still raging, melee being exchanged back and forth by the British and the French. And we have cavalry going in for the line here. Got some Polish lancers. They do break, but they do inflict heavier losses on the Spanish as well. Let's make sure nothing's happening over there. And now we have a French counterattack as Blake's flank's looking a little bit weaker. Like I said, unfortunately, they don't have a ton of cav. Now they're going to countercharge with what cav they do have, try to break that French line, or that French cavalry. Yet another charge by Wellington. There's a lot of infantry in that one area, but you can see the wavering, even potential mass rout. But the British need to move quickly. France is starting to curve that flank around. Those Highland foot. Ooh, the canister going for the cavalry. The cavalry, though, maybe gonna finally make it in for a charge, but the counter charge by some dragoons, making this a lot more painful for this coalition making their advance. The Highlanders, Gordon's Highlanders, pushing on the flank here, trying to go for that mass rout by flank attack. Now the dragoons will countercharge, try to save their line here. France getting back part of Dresden and starting to push on that flank. This has been quite the bloody clash. France still pushing on Blake. What's left? Oh, this cavalry had a field day. I missed it, but the cav just
Our
ran
men
around.
are
Looks like
running,
just
sir.
broke a ton of Blake's infantry that could not square, unfortunately. And over here, what's left of Spain may have to try to make their attack, but France is issuing out of the tree line or out of this town hall area and starting to push forward, as the only true real force that's left is over here, although it looks like it's starting to dissipate pretty quickly, as now France is making some decisive wins. There he is, still alive. What a bloody fight in that center. And this line, I mean, it's actually quite scattered. Looks like Graham's making a stand to the far flank. It was definitely a rough attack. I'm not sure. I couldn't really pinpoint one thing that made the
Our men are running, sir.
coalition lose. Obviously, the artillery was very brutal. The French invested in artillery, and it seemed to work very well for them. I mean, the French were able to use their artillery the entire battle. Oh, look at that officer, has a sword above his head, ready to go and swing it,
Yes, sir.
clunk some guy over the head with it.
Our men are running, sir.
Last little defense here, Blake trying to hold by the LOC. They will not be able to win by LOC victory unless they take Dresden, obviously. Like I said, it's an attack defense map. I think at this point there's just, a bitter last stand for the coalition. They did play well. I mean, they still had some really, really good kills. I'd be pretty, I wouldn't be too upset as a coalition with the amount of kills. I think one of the disadvantages they had was not a ton of
Our
cav.
men are running,
At least the
sir.
Spanish over here didn't have a lot of cav. And I think I saw like a bunch of cav pour in here when the Spanish first made their initial attack. And I think that cav just kind of stopped Blake from being able to be very decisive in their attack. I'm trying to decide maybe if Wellington had been over here or if Wellington had been in the center instead and pushed really hard in the center. I don't know if it would have mattered. That artillery battery in the center, obviously that was the French plan, to control the center with artillery and protect the flanks with infantry and cavalry. And obviously they could readjust. They didn't have a lot of stuff here in the center besides all those massive gun batteries, which definitely makes it more painful for an attack by a lot of infantry.
Our men are running, sir.
But I mean, I'm just kind of, you know, keeping a eye on these last stands. I mean, technically I could fast forward to the end, but you know, you wouldn't do service to how well these last stands actually are going. I mean, Coalition is standing strong. You know, they are not just breaking and falling in pieces. They are providing a fierce resistance against this French army. Despite the fact that it is a losing battle, they are outnumbered. That was a cool shot. Look at that. Ooh. Gorgeous. Oh, the cavalry charging in. This may be it for Wellington. Where is he? Where's Bell? Oh, there he is. He's fighting. He's fighting. Does he make it out alive? Oh. Wellington falls on the field. Bravely tries to stand his ground as long as possible. Seriously, you can't just say enough about how beautiful this mod actually is. I mean, it's just... Man, it's just so good looking. I'm not even sure what they did, because I've played, obviously, a lot of other mods, which all look really amazing in their own way. Maybe it's just the detail in individual units. Just, I don't know what it is. It's just, it looks so realistic. Which, I mean, this mod, that's this mod's pride, is in being super, uber realistic. Realistic units, realistic cores, realistic looking, you know, uniforms, generals. They got everything. Maps are even super realistic. It's what this mod specializes in, which is probably, you know, the realism is probably why I struggle so much on playing multiplayer. But at this point, maybe, I guess we can still watch Graham. There we go, got the city in the background, the French fighting out in the field. Oh, and then, of course, the masses of dead bodies. Yikes. That is a lot of casualties. Wow. Alright, well, I will end their suffering. Just hit the fast forward button. And you guys can still watch it if you want to. You know, I won't skip necessarily to the end. But, you know, unless you guys truly enjoy watching, you know, the last breath of the all the armies, I usually feel like it's, you know, at a certain point might as well just skip to the end. But yeah, I there's some battles where I don't think I truly can pinpoint necessarily what caused the loss in this battle. Obviously this attack here could have gone better for the Spanish. Maybe that would have collapsed the flank. The French held really well, but I don't think that's necessarily, you know, one person's, you know, like, you made a huge mistake here. It just did not go their way. Now, of course, this is following Blake, which you can see. That guard unit got 177. Had an infantry get 136. But let me pull up the results here so you can see. We have the French side. You have Heinze. He got 12-15 for the kills. Matt Bob 17-64. Sharpie was 7-91, and Philippe was 16-88. Other side, you have Wiggles 10-40, Stanners 8-63, Chain 9-39, and and then TT Ross with 1176. So obviously there are more kills in the French versus the coalition, but still some pretty good kills considering they lost. You know, they obviously dished out some damage to the French, which, you know, always good to see. You know, there was a fight and it wasn't a roll over. It was a very bloody fight. But yeah, guys, that'll be it for me today. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm gonna keep finding replays on just NGW3 and the great battle mod, the grand battle mod, I should say. Really enjoying these mods, like as always. they definitely make this game's a ton of fun despite how old it's been. So you know, appreciate the support, guys. Thank you all so much for those of you who have been with me over the years. It's crazy I could say it's been years now since I've been recording. And welcome to all you that are new that are subscribed. I appreciate anyone that joins to support the channel. Hearing from you guys in the comments, you know, liking the video, watching, most importantly. It means a lot to me. You know, it is a joy to be able to do this as a hobby, and then to see people that are enjoying it as well. So, yeah. Well, anyway, guys, you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, and as always, I'll catch you all in another video.